Hey, welcome everybody to Purpose Driven, Vision Inspired, the podcast where we explore the powerful intersection of purpose and vision in shaping our path to success. I'm your host, Richard Cerna, the performance strategist, and each week we will dive into the stories, strategies, and insights of those who have turned their passion into purpose and their vision into reality. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or someone simply seeking more meaning in your work and life, this podcast is here to inspire, educate, and empower you to live with intention and achieve your true potential. Let's embark on this journey together by introducing our esteemed guest, Michael Menz, who is a seasoned professional with 20 years of experience in the manufacturing sector. He's currently pursuing a PhD in cognitive and instructional psychology. And their research, it focuses on understanding ADHD resilience and how individuals overcome challenges in academic settings. With a passion for mentorship and personal growth, their insights will provide a unique perspective on leadership and development. Michael, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure, man. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to diving into this topic. I know we've spent a lot of time each in our respective careers growing, learning from, mentoring, and being mentees at the same time. But before we dive in, I'd like to share both a proper and a simple terms definition of our topic today of mentorship. And so if we look at a modern dictionary, we look at a proper term. Mentorship is going to be the guidance provided by a mentor, especially an experienced person in a company or educational institution. Now, that's kind of a mouthful, right? I like to, I've heard somebody say, I like to dumb things down. I like to simplify. That's a better use of words for me. So, in simple terms, it's like having a wise friend who helps you learn and grow. Simply put, they share their knowledge and their experience to guide you on your journey. On that note, I'd really like to dive head first in. Can you start by sharing your own experience with mentorship, both as a mentee and a mentor?
Oh, wow. First of all, the subject matter that you're talking about today, mentorship from both perspectives, is probably one of the most powerful. From a personal perspective, I think that in order for you to grow in any avenue of your life, right, you have to have somebody that guides you there. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have someone, it fast tracks you. If you have a person that is taking you down the right path, you're able to ask appropriate questions to, and they're able to define things and give you the answers that you need, is going to get you where you want to go faster and more effectively with less mistakes. So in my life, I've had a mentor through the whole process. And in every stage of my life, I had a mentor for that stage, right? You can't keep the same mentor throughout your whole life because you get different mentors based on the stages. Right. As a mentee, I think I was a pretty hard-headed mentee, right? Because I still have the drive with the God-given drive inside of me to do what it is that I want. Right. But
Right.
as a mentor, I found that to be probably this has been one of the most fulfilling experiences I've ever had in my life, to see people grow from where they were to where they are. I think it's literally been the most fulfilling experiences of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think, you know, in my career, I didn't really understand what mentorship was until I got about 10 years into my career. The side of town that I grew up on, we focus on sports, and if you got a scholarship, you went to go play sports or you went to work. And I did both, right? So with that said, it wasn't until I got into a professional career in the oil and gas industry that I really learned what a mentor was. And to your point, my career, it had kind of been, this trajectory, almost flatlined, right? But
Mhm.
once I learned what mentors were and I took on three mentors, all with three different perspectives, man, my career trajectory, it just turned up in a hurry. I think I received more promotions in a shorter period of time. I'd say 4 years than I had ever across my entire career. And, got tagged as somebody with high potential. And, that's it's all a testament to mentorship and the perspective that it can provide,
Yes.
right? But there's a flip side to that, right? It's not just what can you get, It's what can you give back? And that's, when you become the mentor, from mentee to mentor, and how you can serve. So appreciate, the dual perspectives that you provided. Um, I'd like to go a layer deeper there to see kind of what kind of impact has mentorship had on your personal and professional growth? Because I believe that we're the same person inside of work and outside of work, in our personal lives and our professional lives. But I'm curious, what impact has mentorship had on both areas of your life?
Oh, well. From a personal perspective, I think it's had the biggest impact for me. In the different people that have come into my life. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I grew up without my father, right? My real father in my life.
Mhm.
So as I was growing up, I collected father figures. If I saw something strong that I needed in someone else, of course I had my stepfather there, but he wasn't my real father. And when you have that particular gap in your life for any young man, you're going to collect father figures as you walk that path. So I had the opportunity of of being able to learn from some very wonderful father figures, right? I've had an amazing pastor that led me, that guided me down my journey with God, right? And I had an amazing uncles that have helped me within my business journey, and
Mhm.
also an amazing therapist that's really helped me to grasp what it is, where I am now and where I'm going, and became a personal mentor for me for receiving, not only helped me to when I went and got my MBA, but also helped me to say, hey, Michael, you need to go on and get your PhD for what you're passionate about. Don't follow the passions of other people. Really follow
Mhm.
your passion and what you want to do, and trust me, it will be fulfilling on the back end, right? So I think for me, my life has been, and I've also seen my life not go in a certain direction because I didn't have a mentor. That's the important thing,
Mhm. Yeah.
because I didn't have a mentor, right? And I've had to go back and seek my mentors again. Like, hey, what am I doing wrong? Because you need those checks and balances. So for me,
Mhm.
it's been crucial to my development.
Awesome. I appreciate that level of insight, because that's what this podcast is really about. It's about, identifying, connecting with your purpose, and then connecting that purpose to your vision of where you're going. And I think mentorship plays a huge part in that, because people often see the greatness in you before you ever understand what that greatness is. And
Yeah,
I tell people all the time,
that part.
man, I think I was 37 years old by the time I figured out what God put in me,
Yeah,
right? And so once you understand what that recipe is, now you have to make sense of how to apply it.
yeah,
And what better way to learn how to apply it than through meaningful experiences and getting perspective from those that have gone through and done the thing, right? So, the whole goal there for me, at least the way that I see things, is it everything will come full circle. You will be the mentee, you will be the mentor, and it just kind of
yeah,
evolves, and it rolls. So very good.
yeah.
And so we talked a little bit. You dove in a little, or touched on the importance of mentorship. Why? I'd like. I'm kind of curious. We'll go into that a little. Why do you believe mentorship is so crucial for both personal and professional development?
Well, what it's going to do is it's going to do three things. Okay, it's going to impact your level of confidence. It's also going to give you a different perspective on who you are, and it's also going to broaden your network,
Mhm.
right? So if you are a person that's suffering with a certain level of confidence, personal confidence, a mentor can help you to build who you
Mhm.
are by pointing out those characteristics in you that you don't necessarily see right now, but they're
Mhm.
looking at it and saying, hey man, you're good at A, B, C, and D. One of the best things a mentor told me, and I was really perplexed at this particular moment in my life. And I asked her, I said, hey, and your mentor also doesn't have to be a male. It can be a female too, right? That's very important
Right.
for me to throw that tidbit out there. I asked this particular mentor, hey, what am I good at? Because I didn't know what I was good at. And it was a serious
Right.
question. And And she said, Michael, you're often good at the thing that you can do with ease. And one of the things that I've seen you do over and over and over again is put a process behind any difficult situation. She said, a lot of people don't
Mhm.
have that particular skill set. For me, I was like, what are you talking about? And I learned that I'm the type of person that if there's not a process involved, I can't learn it. So I'll put a process
Right.
to it myself. And everybody doesn't have that particular skill set. So through that
Yeah.
simple conversation, I learned what I was really, really great at doing is putting a
Mhm.
process behind any situation because I have to have a process in order for it to work. So if it's anything that's complex, I'll be like, okay, we're gonna undo that by putting a process behind it. And through that
Yeah.
process, I
That's right.
uncomplicate everything. Right. So that became my particular gifting. Right. That helped to
Yeah.
build up my confidence. It's how I got through school, it's how I
Mhm.
achieved my PhD. It's how I'm achieving my PhD. I'll go through there, I'll look at what it is that I have to do, and I'll put a process behind it, and boom, all of a sudden it's done. And people look at me like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I'm doing it based on what it is that who I know that I am and what my particular giftings
Yeah.
are, and putting those giftings to work. Right. So based on
Yeah.
her perspective, I was able to gain more confidence. Right through gaining that confidence, I was able to network with a group of doctors who all have their PhD that I brought a different perspective to. They're
Mhm.
not good at doing what it is that I do. Right? They may have what
Right.
they have, but they don't. They're
Yeah.
not good. They're not. They don't have my gifting. Right? So
That's right.
I think it's
That's right.
confidence, perspective, and networking.
That's powerful. I love hearing that. Love hearing the realization of the power that you possess and how you apply it. I mean, that is truly a gift to be able to connect with that purpose and know where you're going with it and to leverage it for a greater good or higher purpose, right?
Absolutely.
So, in terms of qualities, let's talk a little bit about qualities. When it comes to effective mentorship, what do you think makes an effective mentor, and how can someone, that's becoming a mentor or stepping into mentorship for the first time, cultivate these kind of qualities?
Um, you're gonna have to be if you want to become an effective mentor. I think there are three things that you're gonna have to have. All my stuff is gonna be in threes. So I like talking in threes, right? So
Yeah.
you have to be empathetic. Okay, you have to be extremely patient, and you
Mhm.
have to listen. Okay, you have to be empathetic, patient,
Mhm.
and listen. Okay, and I'm also going to throw another one in there and say you have to be available. You have to be available.
Yeah.
Whenever you become a mentor for somebody, you it's like having a little brother or a little sister. My little brother can call me 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to pick up.
Mhm.
Your mentee should be able to contact you
Yeah.
if you're on a dinner date and be like, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? Because that moment may be a crucial time that they need just a bit of advice from you in order to get them through. That person becomes your
Mhm.
literally like your brother or your sister, and you have to treat that person with that level of urgency and that level
Mhm.
of respect, and they're going to give it to you in return. Trust. It works every time.
Absolutely. So, in your opinion, what makes a successful mentor-mentee relationship? Because everybody understands, yeah, for a true mentor-mentee relationship, it's not a one-way street. It's got to be two-way.
Mhm.
So this two-part question, right? So, what makes a successful mentor-mentee relationship, and how can both parties ensure it's mutually beneficial?
Okay, awesome. See, okay, so now if you're building on being empathetic, being patient, and listening, right, you're gonna have to talk about trust and most importantly,
Mhm.
communication, right, and that mutual benefit. What is this gonna do for you? What do you want out of this? And what are your expectations from this
Mhm.
relationship? And based on your expectations, I can tell you what I can realistically do for you, right? One of the things that I do whenever I talk to
Mhm.
anyone, I tell them ask me specific questions. Now that you have me on the phone, now that I have you, right, and I have your time and I'm available to you for this hour, we're not going to talk about football. You need to have something written down that you're going to ask me that
That's right.
is important. And trust me, I'm all in on that. I am dialed in on what it is that you're asking me to do. But you have to understand, you have to be very specific in your intention and what it is that you want from this relationship right now. Because it's like where you're at. I'm not going to say where you're at, but I've known you for quite some time, so I know where you're at in your development. You're a dictionary of information to a person, right? You're a dictionary.
Mhm.
Literally, I feel like I am a
I appreciate
dictionary.
that.
of information. So if
Mhm.
you're going to go to that dictionary information, you better know the questions you want to ask because you can get the appropriate answers, right? So
Yeah.
that's one of my
Yeah.
key my one of my key factors, one of my pet peeves right there. Don't get me on the phone and want to talk about hockey. I'm be like, hey man, I don't have
Yeah.
time for it. Right? Because
Yeah.
we have to
That's right. Yeah.
be like, hey man,
It's like
you're like, man, listen, what are you talking about?
that
I got
reminds that reminds me of my pet peeve when it comes to meeting invites. Don't send me a blank meeting invite that just has a subject line. I need to know what I need to prepare for,
yeah,
so that I can be effective. And that's the same thing with being a mentor, right? You want to be able to, you want your mentee to come to you with meaningful questions so you can deliver insights. And I think one of the things that's so amazing about mentorship is sometimes you don't even have to know the answer. It's
mm,
about the perspective and getting helping your mentee create those new neural pathways that connect their thoughts, because oftentimes we know they know the answer already, they're just not looking at it from the right perspective. And
exactly.
I've been on both ends of that, right? I've been on both ends of that. And it's so funny. I told one of my other really good friends that um, there have been times where I've been visiting or had a one-on-one with somebody, and out of nowhere, you just see this light bulb go off, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you just gave me the answer. How did you do that?" And I'm like, I,
Can't do anything.
"You figured it out. I
You
just
figured
asked
it
you
out.
questions."
Yeah.
So I want to pivot a little bit and dive into kind of the realm of finding and being a mentor. What advice would you give to somebody seeking a mentor, and how can they find the right person and approach them?
Well, you have to first of all identify what your needs are. You have to do a really serious needs analysis. Identify what do I need right now at this particular junction in my life, right? Like I said before, I've
Mhm.
never kept the same mentor based on the levels that I was at. Every level has changed. So I identify what my
Mhm.
needs are, and then I go and look at my network to see if there's anybody within my network that meets those specific needs that I have, right? And then I have a clear set of goals as to what I want to achieve based if I find this person in my network. Because you have to understand that person that you're looking for, 9 times out of 10, is not going to have the time that you think they have to dedicate to you. So if you get that person within your purview, you have to respect their time because they're taking on a sacrifice to
Mhm.
make you their brother or their sister,
Yep.
right? So when
So,
you
yep.
respect that person's time and you let that person know how much you respect their time, the information that they're going to give you is going to be so much more valuable. You
That's
I,
right.
I would never get around I would never get around Warren Buffett and just have a I would ask that man some questions that I'm key. What he doesn't have time for is to discuss the Cowboys game. He just doesn't have time for that,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So
right.
when
That's right.
when you identify
Ho
your
ho ho. Hey, hey.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
hold on
Yeah.
now.
Hey, hang on. Hey, you're gonna offend some people here. We gotta keep this professional, okay? No, no, but no. To your point, yeah. I mean, you've got to be prepared.
Yeah,
Know what you're bringing to the table, and that goes on both. Again,
yeah,
it's a two-way street. So whether you're the mentee or mentor, make the most of your time with that person, because they're if you're the mentee pursuing a mentor, they have it's typically because they're at a level higher,
yeah,
where you want to be,
absolutely.
and that means that they've got more responsibility and they're busy. So you have to
Mhm.
maximize that time. Come prepared.
Yeah,
Oh, good words, wise words right there.
yeah.
So, um, kind of building on that a little bit, how can someone become a great mentor, and what should they keep in mind when guiding others?
Mm. Um, Again, we talked about one of these being available. I think being available is it's extremely important.
Mhm.
Um, your availability is going to let that person know how much you care about what it is that they have to ask or what they bring to the table, and then your level. I think for a men from becoming a mentor, I think your level of growth also comes with that because you're going to be getting something from them as well, right? We all have this innate
Mhm.
um, um, innate thing with us in order to talk about certain things. And as you're discussing those things, things are coming to both of you. You're setting your neural pathways are
Mhm.
growing for both individuals in the process, right? Because things are coming from you and they're going to that other person, and also
Right.
vice versa, right? You have to be extremely adaptable, right? You have to be adaptable to what's happening. Your adaptability is important. So you may have to
Mhm.
adapt in certain situations or certain conversations in order to meet the need of the other person. So adaptability is key. And then it's a sense of empowerment. You have to be able to empower the other person with the knowledge and the skills that they need in order to do what it is that has to be done within their lives. So being available, being adaptable, and being empowering is as a mentor to become.
Outstanding. So I don't know if I'm good at asking questions or you just know where we're going with the conversation. I think it's a little bit of both, but I'm gonna give you the credit for this one because you lead me right to my next question and you kind of started diving into it. And can you share, because I'm curious, can you share a story about a time when you mentored someone and how that experience was impactful for the both of you?
Oh, absolutely. There's currently several actually, but I'll talk about one in particular. There's a guy that I've mentored for a while. I have a huge family, as you know, right? I have plenty of men in my family,
Hmm.
and you're whether you like it or not, people are looking at your life as an example. Okay, they're looking at your life as an example. So the things that you're doing are affecting the people that are behind you, whether it's positive or negative. One person in particular, when I was really out there in the world, because I haven't been this person my whole life, and I was doing things that in my younger days that people were looking at. This one particular individual got in trouble, right, based on the things that he was looking at me do and wanted to be cool, like as because as me, he got in trouble. He was
Hmm.
served some time in jail. But when he was in there, his father reached out to me to reach out to him because he was at a really low point. And I made myself available to him to when he can call me all the time. I always picked up his phone calls. I sent him books. Man, it makes me emotional because I love this guy so much. I sent him books, right? And he got out of jail and now he's a personal trainer. He owns his own tax office. I talk to him every day. I mean, he's getting married in December,
Okay.
and he's found the love of his life. He has a great career now, and his life from where he was does not reflect where he was at, and that was based number one on me realizing the impact that I had over his life that forced him to make those decisions and apologizing to him. That part, I told him, man, I'm
Hmm.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you were following me go down this path and you experienced what it is to experience. Because if I was better and you didn't see that out of me, you would have been better. That's the name of the game we're playing
Hmm.
here, right? And based
Yeah.
on me realizing that one thing, I took him down a different path, and just because I knew that he was following my trajectory. And he
Yeah.
has been one of the most. It's been fulfilling for me to watch him grow as a man, as a father, and as a son. Seriously.
Love to hear that, and love to hear the ownership that you took in part of that, right? And ultimately, we're all responsible for the decisions we make. However, our decisions can sometimes be influenced by our observation of others that we look up to. And
Hmm.
so the fact that you brought that to the forefront and conscious of that state of mind, you said, you know, you apologized, and now I bet that made your bond that much stronger. The
Oh
fact
yeah.
that you're still in contact, you talk every day, that's a powerful thing. So I want to pivot a little bit and look at things from the professional world because I know I've been on, as you've prepared for your dissertation, I've been on a couple of interviews with you, and this is a subject that I really enjoy diving into because it's important. It's something that we need to address. But when you look at organizations, right, and companies, one of the things that I would like to get from your perspective is, what role do organizations and companies play in fostering a culture of mentorship,
Mm.
and how can they support this in a productive manner?
Mm. That is amazing that you mentioned that, because right now I told you I'm a creature of systems and processes. And
Hmm.
one funny story that I have that's in relation to this question is, when I was going through my dissertation program, I would get very frustrated because I felt like we were on an island and I couldn't understand what my professor was saying because they're speaking a different language than who I am as a student. Right? It's just like any professional organization. When a person is on over here and you're here, you're speaking a language that they don't understand. So the only way that you can bridge that gap is through a mentor. A mentor can break down your
Yep.
language and make it really plain for the other person, because that mentor has already been down that trajectory and understands exactly what the leadership is saying. Right? So in order for you to grow in any organization, you have to have a person that bridges that gap of communication. Right? You're speaking here, you're speaking like a doctor, and this person has not even learned any of what those words mean. Right? So a
Yep.
person spends a lot of time frustrated and confused because they don't understand what you're talking about.
Mhm.
They have no idea. So
Yep.
when I got on the phone with other professionals and other doctors, I said, "Hey, listen, y'all will save so much time just by developing a mentorship program." So right now, I'm in the process of developing a process for a mentorship program for other people to be able. It's funny, right? But for other people to be able
Yeah.
to be mentored through the dissertation process, because they need that right now, literally with real time.
Yeah. And I'm laughing not at that it's funny. I'm laughing because I know you, and you, like you said earlier, you put a process around everything,
Right.
and we're very like-minded in that manner. But it doesn't surprise me one bit that you're having that type of impact on your school and implementing a new program that's going to be so effective, and it's going to help bridge gaps. And again, kind of going back and bringing things full circle, whether it's applying your purpose or understanding your vision and tying them together, man, you become that much more successful. So, man, that was powerful. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
So I want to start, reflecting and wrap up. We got two more segments that I want us to go through. And so when we think about, reflection, right? Reflection and mentorship, what is the most important lesson that you've learned from a mentor that you still carry with you to this day?
Oh wow. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one, man. I have an uncle named Uncle David, Uncle Kofi Owusu. He's a real estate developer back home. And I remember the first time I went over to his house, and you know how my family is. They're, it's crazy. But the
Mhm.
first time I went over to
Yeah.
his house in West Africa, man, I was in shock and awe at how beautiful his house was. I mean, because he has a beautiful home here, right? And then he had another one in West Africa equally as beautiful. And I
Mhm.
remember being in a business meeting with him, man. I'll never forget this, Richie, man. He was in a business meeting with this guy, and this guy was trying to overtalk him, because trying to use his education in order to outsmart or outtalk him.
Mhm.
And he shut this dude down by saying big words, big words. People use big words when they don't understand the conversation. And I said, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
It immediately shut this dude down. And that was like one of the biggest things that I've gotten was keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. Keep it
Yeah.
simple, man.
That's right.
At the
That's
end of
right.
the day, people want to see a real person. That's it. That people want to see a real, because we're all people at
That's
the end
right.
of the day. We all
That's
have our
right.
struggles. We all have our insecurities.
Mhm.
People just want to see us be real with one another, laugh, talk, and have a good time, right? So when that was one of the
Yeah.
things that I've learned, that I think that I've taken with me everywhere, is just keep it simple. No matter no matter who I'm having a conversation with, right? And one thing I like to touch bases on is this. Pretty soon I'm having a conversation with someone, you'll forget my color. You won't see my tattoos. You won't see anything but me as a person, because just I keep it so simple,
Mhm.
right? And I try to make that connection with people
Yeah.
that's spiritual in nature. And once you do that, you can never break that bond between two people. I don't care who you are, right? So it's that simplicity is key.
Absolutely.
Simplicity is key. That's what.
Simplicity. I love to hear it. And one of the things that I took from that is in that moment, your uncle could have given in and relinquished his power by giving in to that argument, right? But he didn't. He chose to retain his power through experience and wisdom I always talk about this. There's a huge difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is what you pull off a shelf, you read, and then you put it back up there.
Yeah.
Wisdom is what you take off the shelf, you read it, and then you immediately apply it into your life, right? And so
Patient.
your uncle, having been through all the experiences he had, was able to remain patient, simplify,
Mm-hmm.
and respond, and he retained his power.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of a defining moment in my life, right? So in a defining moment for me in my life was I went through a crucible with a society that I'm a part of, right? And one of the things that the crucible was aimed at uncovering, it was to break you down physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So you can really dig deep and uncover what has been suffocating your fire, your purpose.
That's
And
good.
I like to call that ripping the lid off, because the second that I got there, I was able to rip that lid off, and it was like oxygen feeding a fire, right? The more oxygen, the bigger your fire gets. And once you realize what that power is, and you make that decision to apply it into your life every day, that's when you connect to your purpose, because you understand why, and you let it breathe, and you don't put that lid back on for anybody.
That
So
part. That
awesome, outstanding.
that was good, man.
So for those that may not have a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
what steps can they take to begin their own journey of personal and professional growth? And this is a question that's really
Mm,
important to me, because I can tell people, but I want other people and other perspective to share it, because as I shared earlier in this podcast, I didn't really understand what a mentor was until 10
mhm.
years into my professional career. So I would really love to hear that perspective from you.
Oh man. I think you have to take it down to the basics of who we are and what's really attacking some of those things that make us personal and make us human, right? Um, One of the
Mhm,
things that we do where we just look at what it is that's around you every single day. We listen and we see. Right now, we're doing a podcast. I'm looking at you. We're listening to one another. We're talking to one another.
mhm,
So when you look at how those things, how you are affected by the stuff that you're taking in, right? The stuff you're feeding yourself with, number one, that's very important. You have to streamline your content. That's number one, because we're all looking at things every single day
mhm,
on our phones. So if you want effective
mhm.
mentoring, the first thing you have to do is start streamlining your content so you start to see what it is that you want to become. Number one, I cannot tell you how important that is. Okay, go through your social media, only follow 100 people, and they all have to speak to what it
Mhm.
is that you want to become. That's period. If it doesn't serve you, delete it. Okay, because you don't want to see it anymore.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So
Absolutely.
once you
That's
start to
right.
do that, and once your brain starts to develop different patterns of seeing different things that speak to different parts of who you want to become and what you want to do, the rest of it seems to just start to take place in your life. And another thing that I would say you need to do, you need to have more physical activity in your life. If you don't have enough physical activity, that's another thing. You need to get out
Yep.
there and start running. Go to the gym, start exercising, get that blood oxygen level up,
Mhm.
right? So your body can be at its optimal performance. Because when you
Yep.
look better, you literally feel better. That's the name of the game. And
That's
once
right.
you start to do those things, you start to attract what it is that you want to become. It'll start coming to you. Okay. And it'll be easier for you to know what it is when it
Mhm.
comes to you. Because I'm a big believer in this, right? God often answers our prayers really, really quickly. People that tell you that, oh, God is work, he's no, he answered your prayers 25 times already. You are the person that said no to him. Okay. So
Yeah.
once you start asking God for what it is
That's
that you
right.
want to do and what you want to become, and you put yourself in alignment with what God wants for your life, it comes to you. Your job at that point is to recognize when it's in your
Mhm.
face and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So that would be my thing. That's a long answer, but
That's right.
it's
That's
it's
right.
it's
Because he's not gonna tell you what your purpose is. It's up to you to discover that. but
Yes.
you can identify what your vision is and you can connect it to and make a world of difference. You can make a huge impact in this world.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
outstanding. So, so I like to wrap things up by going through a rapid fire closeout series of questions. And so the objective here, as we start to wrap the show up, is we want to get the raw, right? So I'm going to ask you, a few questions, and off the top of your head, the goal is just to rip them out. What first thing that comes to mind?
Yeah.
Alrighty,
Yeah. That's my favorite part. Go
you
ahead.
ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
What has been the most fulfilling moment in your journey so far, and how does it align with your purpose?
I think the most fulfilling thing, most fulfilling part of my journey is my children, watching my children grow. Through watching my children grow, it really gave me a perspective of who it is I see, who it is that I was supposed to be, and how I see myself. Right? If you don't see yourself in your children, I don't know why you had them. So you have you have to really. That's been my personal journey, is just watching my
Yeah,
children grow, and then identifying some of my own shortcomings through through how they're living their lives, and then making that adjustment.
outstanding. So, if you could give one piece of advice to someone that's just starting on a similar path as you in your career and your education, what would it be?
Oh, um, be patient and listen. Listen. Try not to talk as much, but do a lot of listening to people, and be open. Be open to
You got
change.
two ears and one mouth.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Be open to change, man. Have your heart
yes,
open to
sir.
what that change is, and truly be ready to adapt whenever it's time to adapt. Seriously, don't take too much time.
Great, great. That's gold right there.
Mhm.
So, how do you envision the future of your industry or field, and what role do you see yourself playing in it?
Oh, great! That's an awesome one. I think that the future, especially in education, right? I'm gonna give you a bit of a breakdown. Right now, as time goes on, right? You look at AI and the future of development and the future of industry and development is going to require people in the field that have a lot more technical skill set in order to do things, right? So right now, if you look, and if you also look at an educational field, it's not aligning with where industry is going. One of the reasons for that is because of learning disabilities that people have that are not being addressed appropriately. So if you look at male and females, right, the amount of females graduating, right, at with master's levels are up, it's much higher than the amount of males. Okay, which makes us very uneven and unbalanced so far as just for couples and households, right, and mates. What we're supposed to be doing here on this earth is connecting and mating and making
Hmm.
babies. So what in my industry that I want to go in, which is
Right.
the cognitive industry, is just getting more individuals who look like myself and minorities look like myself down that pathway of education, so they'll be able to get some of these jobs that are going to be harder to get as industries move forward, because they're going to leave certain people behind. It's not their fault, right? It's just that you're not getting up to where you need to be, and
Hmm.
there may be an issue within the gap of learning that people are not realizing. So I'm just tackling one piece of what that puzzle may be. So that's where I see myself.
Outstanding. So, on that note,
Mhm.
what are some upcoming projects or goals that you're excited about, and how do they align with your overall vision?
Mm. Um, One of the things that, honestly, one of the things I'm really excited about is my current company, right, which is Initiative 413. And the way that Initiative 413 has grown in the past, at first we were really focused on elementary and early development. Now we're moving forward to maybe tackling on more later developmental things, right? And then establishing certain ways that we can actually tackle the school systems, right, and getting teachers on board with some of the things that we're doing. So how it aligns for me is I had a vision of what I wanted to do with my company, right? I had a vision a long time ago what it is that I wanted to do. I was speaking the right language. However, I had to go and do the research on based on what it is that I wanted. Now that I've done the research and
Hmm.
I have gathered all of this knowledge, I'm excited about where it's going to go and how I'm going to be able to place that knowledge in a realm where people can understand, right? Grasp the
Hmm.
information and utilize the information that's given to them, and also to make it profitable. Because obviously, I have babies to feed, so I can, kids in college, so I have to
Yep.
be profitable, right? So also different
Absolutely.
ways to make it profitable, not only for me, but the other individuals that are also going to be involved. So just about helping young men grow effectively in our communities, because no matter what
Mhm.
we do, the pattern is never going to change to success. If research and development and learning is the key to get there, it just is what it is. If you can
Yeah.
be passionate about anything you want to be, but if you don't know anything about it, I'm sorry, your passion stops pretty much there, right? So
Yeah.
it's really about
Yeah.
where we're going insofar as industry is concerned and how it applies to us. I told you earlier in the call while we weren't recording that I'm just a great predictor of industry. I'm always predicting where industry is going to go. Capitalization
Hmm.
has been one of my
Yep.
issues in the past, and I'm not going to miss the opportunity to do that on this one. Right. So
Time to
long and
take action.
time
Right.
to take
Yeah.
action.
Time to take action. The
That
I,
part.
I've heard people say, "What time is it?" Now.
No.
Now, where are we? We're right here.
Right here.
So right here and right now.
Yeah,
Right. There
absolutely.
you go. So
Absolutely.
three more questions. One's around your purpose. So in one sentence, how would you summarize your purpose that drives you?
Mm, I want to see people grow. I want to see people grow. That's
Hmm.
it. Literally. I want to see people grow. And that's in every sense of the word for me. I want to see
Nice.
no one needs to stay the same. You need to grow. As time goes on, you have to grow. And I want to see people grow
That's
and
right.
help them with that growth. That's it.
Kind of goes back to the point you were making earlier. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, but you want to see people grow. So
Hmm.
let's move forward. Outstanding. So got two more questions. They're going to be fun.
Hmm.
So, what is your favorite curse word?
Oh, man, I got a whole bunch of them. Uh, bullshit. Bullshit. You know my favorite word. That's some bullshit.
Bullshit. Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like to call it all.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
just
a
no, that was a
that's
good
a
one.
first, but it's a classic and a goodie. I love it. Outstanding. Good, cool.
Be like, bro,
All
listen,
righty.
we're about to get
Last
all you.
question.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's Bukaki, right? Okay. So
That's a good one.
when when you pass and you go to meet God at the
Mhm.
white pearly gates,
Yeah.
what would you like him to say to you?
Well done. You did exactly what I expected you to do. Well done. You met your expectation. You met my expectation.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
You met my.
Those are the rapid fire questions that I had. Um, Michael, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you're super busy to join the podcast to dive into mentorship, the importance that it plays.
Hmm.
Um, but before we go, people are interested in learning more about you and the work that you're doing. Where can they find you?
Um, right now, our website is up, initiative413.com, and that's initiative413.com.
Mhm.
You can reach me. My email is mkwmens@gmail.com. Email is probably going to be the best way to get in contact with me, to be honest. And I'm always
Outstanding.
looking to help anybody who is struggling with any kind of a situation or looking to help industry that's struggling with a certain process and wants to make that process better by tapping into the resources they currently have or the resources they may need they don't know they need, right? So that's kind of where my particular skill set is just developing a process around anything in order to make it easier for it to transition down to the person, the employee. Honestly, that's been my skill set for years, and I'm always
Outstanding.
going to stick by that. So reach out to me if you need anything concerning that particular area of industry.
Outstanding. Well, I certainly enjoy our friendship. I appreciate it. Think the world of you, and I'm excited to see you defend your dissertation here soon.
Hmm.
Um, I wish you the best of luck in that. And man, thanks again. I see a huge collaboration between us coming down the pipe. So
Absolutely, man. Come on, man. Rich,
stay tuned, listeners.
you know what time it is.
Yes, I do. All right.